guys, welcome to Busted Speakers. This is Lee.
And I'm Kush.
Oh my god, that sounded so horrible. I felt so much pressure, I need to sound professional. Okay.
This is Alex. I'm a cool guy.
So today we're gonna be reviewing Inter Alia by At the Drive-In. And At the Drive-In have been in hiatus for 20 years or so, something like that.
Yes.
And
17
years. So it's been a while since they put out their last record. But the last record was also met with amazing reviews and just a lot of people who fell in love with their post-hardcore sound. Don't know. I'm not sure exactly the reason why they went on hiatus. But
to form the Mars Volta.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You know,
I completely forgot about that.
They split up apart from each other. Like the other three joined another band or made another band.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about the Mars Volta.
This is a really professional review.
Yeah, but the guitarist and the bassist, I believe, from At the Drive-In, they started a band that was called Sparta, and also the guitarist went on to do a solo career. And then, of course, Cedric and Omar went on to create the Mars Volta in 2003, or maybe immediately after, of course. I think it was immediately after, like in 2002, because that was when D-Louse in the Comatorium was released. That was the first record by Mars Volta. Yeah, but anyways, they were split up, or At the Drive-In was split up because there were really just a lot of different factors. They were in this car accident, so they basically were on tour in the States, I believe, and their van just skidded out of control on the ice, and none of the band members were severely hurt. They hurt themselves, or they were pretty okay. And then they performed in Sydney, and the audience were mosh pitting, I believe, and these guys hate mosh pitting, so they just stopped after 3 songs, and I think it was Omar who started. He just asked the guys in the audience to just stop mosh pitting, and then he said, "Bah, you're like a sheep," or something like that. He was really just outraged and got all crazy, and then they just went off stage after 3 songs. So that was quite hilarious and sad, I guess, for the people who were watching. And yeah, they were just mentally and physically exhausted from touring, because they had been creating records, touring, recorded, touring so excessively. So yeah.
Yeah, so they're back with their 4th album, I think, 4th album, Inter Alia, 17 years later. And I'm interested to hear what you guys think. I think this is a pretty good return to pace for them. I don't think it's as good as their last record, Relationship of Command, but this is still pretty decent and a pretty good return to form.
I know Lee has a pretty big opinion on this one, so I will say mine quickly. It felt quite impenetrable to me. Like, the production's quite messy, I'd say, in some places, but honestly, it feels like an album I either really love or really hate at different points, and it feels like the number one album to listen to more times to try and understand it more. But I'd have to say, on the whole, I didn't mind it too much. The thing I like most is what we get some crazy guitar solos shredding from Omar during the verses. I don't know if that's a common thing for At the Drive-In, in general.
I mean, he has his guitar solos here and there in the previous albums as well, but it's not like the big thing about the band. It's not like he's doing it all the time. It's more like here and there. So yeah.
Yeah, so there's some great stuff here. I think people are slightly overrating this or underrating this because they're going in with too low or high expectations, because I haven't heard Relationship of Command, but I have heard the first Mars Volta album, and I guess this is a pretty good return to form. Cedric still sounds great vocally, and Omar is amazing. And I think they have another guitarist in the band. I'm not sure if he was originally with them at the drive-in, but yes, it's mainly the guitars that impress me here, and Cedric in some places. I think it's pretty good, but quite hard to get into, really.
Okay, so my opinion on this. Oh man, I just hate this album so much.
Oh really?
I just hate it. Like my gut is just turning and aching, and oh man, it is so horrible to hear this. It's like, my heart is it's just pounding with ecstasy because I just want to punch this album and just get it out of the world because people don't deserve to hear this. Okay. Oh yeah.
Wait.
Okay.
So
I'm just now.
So do you have a severe problem with the production then, Lee?
No, it's okay. So I have a few points here. So the first thing that I notice is Cedric's voice. I mean, he is a good vocalist, and he was an incredible vocalist in At the Drive-In. Previously to this album, he was incredible. He was able to just scream and stretch his voice in so many different directions, and yeah, he knew how to sound discordant, but at the same time create a very evocative and emotional harmony. And Mars Volta, I mean, I just need to mention the freaking band name, and people will immediately think of Omar's, no, not Omar, but Cedric's voice, because he was just. His voice was insane, and it was so different from what he managed to create on At the Drive-In. It was such a sudden and such an extreme change, and I think that all of those years in Mars Volta and At the Drive-In, with all this screaming and all this really high pitched vocals that he did with the Mars Volta, it has just worn out his voice a lot, and you can hear this. I mean, these guys actually had a previous band as well that they created.
Antimask, was it?
Antimask, yeah. And I actually think that album that they released, I think they released it like 2 or 3 years ago, that was actually pretty good because the band adapted to Cedric's voice. But they don't do that here. It's like they try to recreate the sound that they had on Relationship of Command, which is... Oh man, it's so bullshit. It's so bullshit.
Well, okay, I agree that his vocals were a bit rough around the edges. Like that's probably the biggest complaint I had about this record, was that his vocals just were kind of out of place, kind of used up, kind of worn out. But I think after a couple listens and a couple spins, I got over the fact that his vocals were worn out, and I think that it kind of like warmed up to me. Like, I mean, obviously people's vocals, that happens to them when they make so much music and stuff like that. But I think it was jarring at first, but then it did let off, and then I was okay with it towards the end. But I think the production on here was actually incredible. I'm a big fan of post-hardcore, so I love the very loud, aggressive, bombastic production they have with like multiple layered guitars and the mental drumming going around. So I had no problem with the production, and obviously like lyrics were okay. Like it's somewhat a Relationship on Command where the lyrics don't mean much. It's just a lot of like big words put together that sound really good together. But there were a couple songs with common themes throughout here, but most of it was more that word salad that they did on the Relationship of Command.
Yeah, that's something Cedric is very famous for, like having very cryptic lyrics, and that's okay. I mean, as long as it fits together with the song, that can create an amazing blend. And I'm really glad that you liked his voice, Kush. I mean, I don't think he is that bad either, but it's like, I don't know, I just got the sense that he wanted to recreate what he had in the past, and I might be wrong with that. Maybe they didn't have that approach to begin with, but that is just what it sounds like to me. So
no, I agree.
The main
Go ahead.
The main vocal like reference I have, basically my favorite song that I've heard that these guys do is the first song on Deloused in the Crematorium. I know it's only Omar and Cedric on that, but the first song, I think, is Inarshik SPS, I think's the name of it. ESP, sorry. And
that's okay.
It's that song is amazing vocally. Like Cedric's vocals are outstanding on that song, I didn't actually see too much of a difference between that and here. I definitely noticed he was more raw, rough around the edges as well, but some of this, he just sounded surreal. Like, torrentially Cutshaw, I thought his vocals were really sloppy on that song, if you remember. I know he's getting older and he doesn't have the same youthful energy, or he's trying to recreate it, but in his efforts to try and hide the fact he's older, he does feel a bit sloppy. But yeah, I actually like the parts of this album where there's like some weird sound effects between the actual songs, like sort of ambient, like talking people sound effects. Did you think they added a nice vibe to the album, guys?
Well, honestly, I didn't, and I just want to be straight about this. I didn't look that much into any of the songs because I just felt like they were. I mean, the album has a really nice flow. That was one of the things that it served me after a couple of listens, after 2-3 listens, and that was good, you know. But it's flowing in the wrong way. It's flowing and it floats away and then it's gone. So I didn't really pay that much attention to the effects, or yeah, I guess I got more of an overall impression. Sorry to disappoint you, man.
It's okay. Do you want to talk a few track favorites quickly though, Kush?
So for me, I actually liked a good chunk of this album. I honestly don't think they put out a couple of singles, which I did hear, and I was not excited with those singles that I heard, but the song Continuum was pretty good. The vocals really sounded much more natural than the very first song. The song No Wolf Like the Present probably had the worst vocals on the whole album, which is a weird way to start off the record.
Which is the first track, yeah. It's I was pretty confused when I first heard that, I have to say, like that first song. But honestly, I thought I had one of the more relatively accessible choruses to the album, I'd say, the first song. But you have to admit, there's so much going on though, like guitars, 2 guitars at least, bass, drumming, and Cedric's vocals, and quite a lot of sound effects as well. This is a really busy, messy album, and I think that's why people are complaining about the production, because let me tell you, there's loads of people complaining about it, saying it ruins the album, just the production. I wouldn't go that far. I think it's pretty good for the most part, so yeah. I will say my favourite song is Ghost Tape number 9, the second last song.
That was their attempt at one of the more somber, slow songs that I think I really enjoyed. And his vocals still sounded...
I really like that one.
Yeah, his vocals still sounded very powerful, and it was a nice change of pace from all the high-energy songs right before it. And so I enjoyed that song as well. But the song, back to Continuum, I think he has this bit almost like a spoken word, punky sort of vocal in the beginning, which I really enjoyed. And there's like this whispered portion toward the end where he's whispering, everything cuts out and he's just whispering towards towards the listener. I actually liked the complexity of that song, and like I said, the production didn't really bother me. I love these loud, eclectic, just brutally loud production that's going on. I have no problem with that, and I think they do it pretty well. But I see where it could be a turnoff for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. So hostage stamps. Well, I think we've basically covered a lot of what we think about this album. I mean,
sure,
it's more mid-tempo, like you say, Kush, compared to the rest of the album, and it feels really technical, like it has a sort of math rock type vibe, which is really welcoming to me. I know the crazy energy on some of these songs are what people love about this band to begin with, as far as I've gathered. But this is still amazing to me. Some of the instrumentation on this album, the bass playing, and you know, I think Cedric actually reins it in here a bit, which is appreciated by me, so I don't know, I found that a specific highlight.
Yeah, and my personal favorite from the album, or like the only song that I liked of the album, is Hostage Stamps, and sadly that's the last song of the album.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good.
And then you had one other one, I think. Yeah, it was Hostage Stamps. And I think Hostage Stamps was the last single that was released, and I was pretty happy when that was released because it actually gave me some hope. I mean, maybe they actually had some some cool material here that was actually leaning to, yeah, maybe some catchy stuff that I could actually get into. But nope, it's a lot of crap. I mean, Hostage Stamps is a song with a lot of power. It has a lot of intensity and just like the other songs, but it just feels more aligned to what they created on Relationship of Command. And it also has this classic edge of this post-rock sound that they had at that time. And that was the one moment where I felt like, oh, they've actually succeeded at creating and rejuvenating and breathing some life into that. It was like, finally I can see some sun behind the clouds of crap on this album, you know. Oh man, but yeah, that was the track that I liked, and that pretty much sums up the album for me.
That song had some like brief strays into classical for a second between the verses as well, which I really liked. That was a nice touch.
Yeah, that's also a thing about this album. It leans towards that post-rock sphere, but it also has this hard rock feel to it.
Yeah, so a couple of the songs that I really enjoyed was Incurably Innocent, which is one of the singles. I thought that was really aggressive, really convoluted a little bit. But the song, I think lyrically, was probably the best on the album, where he's talking about like sexual assault and how people have these problems and they don't know how to get out of it. So he's like talking about trying to get out of it and being able to like get past these kind of events. So I think that was the best song lyrically on this album. But I just love the energy. Governed by Contagious is another like politically charged song, and there's tons of tonal switch ups, and I think I had the best refrains this year. One of the best refrains I've heard this year with "Brace yourself, my darling, brace yourself, my love," just being repeated over and over again.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So there were a lot of like elements of this.
Yeah, I really like the music video for Hostage Stamps. It's a nice, cool thing.
Yep.
There's also
that is also something that is I don't know if you've seen the music video, and this is a bit off topic, but the music video for Hostage Stamps, it looks like it's infused with some political. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it looks like some political. They're promoting some political meaning, some political stance here, because you can see this guy who's he's being caged, or he's in this prison, and there's this totalitarian feel to the whole video. You should definitely check it out because it's a great video. So yeah,
right.
Off topic, but still cool, still valid.
That's still on topic to a song on here, to be fair. Holt's Claw is another song we haven't touched on that I actually remember really liking. It probably has the most conventional riff on here, and general setup isn't much different from a normal song from these guys. The way Cedric sings with a different energy, and the whole never take no for an answer is really good to me. Just this whole album is insanely good.
Yeah, I think they still have that high energy, that high power, like just the craziness of a post-hardcore band that you really want from a post-hardcore band. The only problem I have is that it's nothing too unique. It's pretty generic, pretty bland. And I'm not sure like where they're going from here. I'm not sure if they're gonna put out another album, if it's a one-time thing. But I really hope they can come together and put out maybe just another album with more cohesion, more energy, and just maybe a slightly cleaner production, like you've said. So, Alex, what would you rate this album?
Well, it'll be a 6.5 out of 10 from me. I thought it was really solid. I did get a sense of the production was a bit too busy and messy, but I think that's just because they have so much elements at play. Some really solid songs. I feel like I'll really enjoy Relationship of Command. I don't mind Cedric's vocals at all. Omar Rodriguez Lopez is an amazing guitarist, and yeah, I thought it was pretty solid.
So Lee, what would you rate this album?
Alright, so I will give this album a 2 out of 10. I'm not gonna ever check out this album again. I will probably check out Hostage Stamps maybe once a year or something like that. But yeah, 2 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
So, for me, I felt like this album was good. Nothing too great. I think the biggest fault of this album was that it didn't venture into doing anything unique, anything specific. They stuck to their post-hardcore roots, which is not a bad thing because they're really good at what they do. The guitars are amazing on this whole record. The drumming is fantastic throughout this record. The vocals are a little bit shoddy, but like that's not something you can really like. I mean, you can get a new vocalist, but then it's not like at the drive-in anymore. So there were a few faults in this album, but nothing too severe, nothing too crazy that it detracted me from liking this album. Definitely a decent return to format for me at least, and I really hope that they can. I really hope that they can bring together just more cohesive album next time, something that can be more enjoying and intuitive, and something more complex than what they've done in this album.
Yeah.
Well, if that's it, then thanks for tuning to Busted Speakers. We hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Let us know what you think about this album in the comments below, and check us out on social media.